Hello. I wanted to address the thorny question of age today. It's a question that occurs quite often, the am I too old frame, either through my newsletter or from people who have seen my videos. And the questions generally fall into three main categories, which is firstly, am I too old to care about getting an ADHD diagnosis? I mean, I've always suspected I had it. Is it too late for me now to worry about that? The second question, because as you know, I'm all about the intersection of ADHD and artificial intelligence, is, am I too old to learn about artificial intelligence? And the third question is an increasingly frequent one. Am I too old to set up a YouTube channel? And believe me, I asked myself that one as well. I did not imagine embarking on a career in front of the camera at the ripe old age of 67. So I'm going to answer all of those. And the answer is no, you're not. So let's start with the first one. Am I too old to worry about getting an ADHD diagnosis? And there's all kinds of wait lists and challenges with actually getting a proper diagnosis. This is a deeply personal decision that everybody has to make for themselves. As I always say, I can only talk from my frame of reference, but I have definitely seen and heard a lot of comments from people who seem to have had a consistent experience to me. Now, I learned a lot about my ADHD situation through research, and then I eventually spoke to a GP, and my main goal was not medicinal in any way. So this was really just to arrive at a place to help me understand myself better. And it really, really did. As I've said previously, it was probably one of the most cathartic things that has ever happened to me, because previously I'd been looking back on my 40 years career in global positions around the world, and I had been looking at them through, I would say, a shroud of anxiety. I was finding it very hard to remember the good times. And I'd still every now and again curl up and think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Why did I do that? Oh, that was a bad call. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. So there was a lot of regret in the memories, even though I was very fortunate and very lucky to have had the jobs that I did. It was a roller coaster career. Once I got the diagnosis of ADHD, everything changed. It's very hard to explain just how dramatically it changed. But I've heard people say they wish they could go back and give their younger self a hug and say, it's okay, it's not your fault. Well, surprisingly enough, you can still do that. So at 67, I have gone back and given my younger self a lot of hugs. And I have told her it wasn't her fault. I'm not allowing her to explain everything away, all of her bad decisions on ADHD, because that would definitely be cheating. She made some bad calls all by herself without the help of ADHD. But I can look back and I can understand decisions made, struggles had, and paths taken. And that is just amazing. So all of the weight has lifted off me. And now I can look back and I still see the struggle, but I can look at it with much more sympathetic and kinder eyes. I think, as I've mentioned previously, for me, getting the diagnosis was not only cathartic, it was also a lot about self-forgiveness, because I think all of us beat ourselves up about not being the same as everybody else. If I just try harder, I could fit better. I could do this, I could do that. And to realize that, yeah, you probably couldn't. It's actually very liberating. So in answer to question one, it's a personal decision. For me, it was a really good decision. So on that one, I would say, no, you're never too old. Second question, am I too old to get to grips with AI? I mean, this technology, and I know a lot of people here have experience with AI, have already used ChatGPT and other AI assistants. Some of you might be using them, quite extensively, but a lot of people don't. And some of that is misgivings about the technology, dislike of the idea of AI, lack of trust. Well, it's always wrong, isn't it? And I've heard it hallucinates and it takes you on the wrong pathway. And also ethical considerations. Is it cheating? Is it a fair way to do this? Am I taking somebody's job by, supporting this technology? So there's a lot of reasons why people don't embrace AI. And it's definitely not about age. It's a whole set of other circumstances. So, oh my gosh, we have lived through all the main technological revolutions of the last 70 years. I remember when I first started working, and I'm sure you all do as well, typewriters, and not even electric typewriters, those big, heavy, clunky things that you used to pound into submission, and carbon paper, and always having glue. I wonder how many younger people know that CC is actually carbon copy based on the old carbon paper we used to use in the typewriters. When I went to Asia, I actually went to Asia with a one-way ticket. Gosh, that would have been in the early 90s. Yeah, early 90s, with a one-way ticket looking for a job. I had lost my job in London and I decided to set off around the world as it happened. I decided I wanted to go to Africa first and then work my way through Asia to get a job. And I did. I ended up with a job in Hong Kong. But I remember writing all my letters on that onion skin airmail paper and posting them home. And when I was younger, we used to have to book telephone calls to Australia. And you literally had to book your call 2 weeks ahead. So for some of us who are in our more mature years, my gosh, we saw color television coming. And we've been there for, digital computers, for the internet. Oh, that thing that was never going to catch on, that internet thing. Mobile communications. I had the privilege of spending several years working for Motorola as their global head of media and marketing strategy. And I can remember sitting in meetings with some of the product guys and they're arguing, nobody's going to want music on their phone. People just want a decent phone with big buttons that they can see. And we all know where that went. We've been here for global connectivity. And the point I make is we have been through more technological revolutions than our younger counterparts, and we have always embraced them and we have adapted and they have become integrated into our lives. And this is no different. AI is just another technology that we can take in our stride. The other thing about coming to AI a little bit later in life, and it's something I feel passionately about, is I don't believe you can get the best from generative AI in the kind of relationship we're talking about, the kind of two-way relationship, unless you have a ton to put into it. And that means a ton of knowledge, judgment, ideas, creativity, common sense, intuition, instinct. All of those things go into getting the best outputs from Gen AI. And all of those things come with age. They come with experience. I think that positions us uniquely to really build meaningful partnerships with artificial intelligence. So to the last question, am I too old for a YouTube channel? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I certainly didn't envisage at 67 stepping out. Maybe I should come back in 6 months and re-answer this question. But actually, I'm really excited about it. It's a great adventure. And there are some brilliant people out there doing really authentic conversational videos and imparting the wisdom that they've accumulated in a very nice and non-confrontational, combative, clickbaity way, just a very authentic way. So I hope to join their ranks. At the moment, I'm probably about, 50,000 subscribers behind most of them. But my main goal is to get the word out. And I will do a video on what it took this ADHD brain, the thought process that I had to go through to actually get up and running on YouTube. And of course, it comes with its fair amount of stumbles. As you probably realize, I've had to find my way around my ADHD quirks, shall we say. Anyway, in answer, no and no and no. You're definitely not too old, no matter how old you might be. Look forward to chatting soon.
with a fire inside and a restless spark. No mold to break, no chains to flee. I'm bound to this truth, gotta be me.